Today we will discuss research design and data collection, which marks the transition from planning a research study to actually conducting it. In the previous stages of research, we identified research problems, reviewed literature, and formulated objectives and hypotheses. Now we must decide how the study will be carried out and how data will be collected. This unit focuses on research design, exploratory and descriptive studies, experimental design, variables, data collection methods, sampling techniques, and data processing strategies. A carefully selected research design and systematic data collection process are essential for producing valid, reliable, and meaningful research findings. Research design, concept and importance. Research design can be defined as the overall blueprint or strategic plan of a research study. It provides a framework that guides the researcher from the beginning of the study to the final analysis of data. Research design specifies what information will be collected, from whom it will be collected, how it will be collected, and how it will be analyzed. A well-designed study ensures that the research process is logical, systematic, and scientifically sound. Good research designs minimize bias, improve reliability, strengthen validity, and enhance the generalizability of findings. They also ensure that the study remains feasible within available time, budget, and resources while maintaining ethical standards. Without a clear research design, data collection may become disorganized, important variables may be overlooked, and the conclusions drawn from the study may be unreliable. Therefore, research design serves as the foundation upon which the entire research project is built. Exploratory research design. Exploratory research design is used when a researcher has limited knowledge about a topic or when the research problem is not clearly defined. The primary purpose of exploratory research is to gain insight, generate ideas, identify variables, and develop hypotheses for future studies. It is usually flexible in nature and often relies on qualitative methods. One common exploratory approach is the literature review, where researchers examine existing studies to identify trends, gaps, and unanswered questions. Expert surveys or key informant interviews involve consulting individuals who possess specialized knowledge about the topic. Focus group discussions allow researchers to explore opinions, attitudes, and perceptions through group interaction. Case studies provide an in-depth examination of a particular individual, organization, or event. Pilot studies are small-scale preliminary investigations conducted to test research instruments and procedures before launching a larger study. Unstructured observation is another exploratory method where researchers observe behavior without predefined categories or checklists. Although exploratory research does not provide definitive answers, it plays a critical role in clarifying concepts, identifying research variables, and laying the foundation for more structured descriptive or experimental studies. Descriptive research design. Descriptive research aims to describe characteristics, behaviors, conditions, or phenomena as they currently exist. Unlike exploratory research, descriptive research is more structured and is conducted when the researcher already has some knowledge about the topic. It answers questions such as what is happening, who is involved, where does it occur, and how often does it occur. One of the most common descriptive designs is the cross-sectional survey, where data are collected from participants at a single point in time. Longitudinal surveys involve collecting data repeatedly over an extended period, allowing researchers to study changes and trends. Structured observation uses predetermined categories to systematically record behavior. Descriptive case studies provide detailed descriptions of a specific unit or situation. Correlational studies examine relationships between variables without attempting to establish causation, while normative studies compare findings with established standards or norms. Descriptive research is widely used in fields such as education, sociology, public health, psychology, and market research because it provides valuable information about populations, behaviors, and social conditions. Exploratory versus descriptive research. Although both exploratory and descriptive research are important, they serve different purposes. Exploratory research is conducted when little prior knowledge exists and focuses on generating ideas and hypotheses. It is flexible and open-ended. Descriptive research, on the other hand, is conducted when the researcher already possesses some understanding of the topic and seeks to measure, describe, and quantify specific characteristics. While exploratory studies often produce themes and hypotheses, descriptive studies generate profiles, frequencies, percentages, and detailed descriptions of populations or phenomena. Experimental research design and variables. Experimental research design is considered the strongest method for establishing cause and effect relationships. In an experiment, The researcher deliberately manipulates one variable to determine its effect on another variable while controlling other factors that could influence the outcome. Experimental designs are characterized by four key features: manipulation, control, random assignment, and measurement. Manipulation involves changing the independent variable. Control refers to minimizing the influence of external factors. Random assignment ensures that participants have an equal chance of being assigned to experimental or control groups. Measurement involves accurately assessing the dependent variable. A variable is any characteristic or condition that can take different values. The independent variable IV is the factor that the researcher manipulates or examines as the presumed cause. The dependent variable DV is the outcome that is measured and expected to change as a result of the independent variable. Control variables are factors that are intentionally kept constant to prevent interference with the study. Extraneous variables are unwanted influences that may affect the dependent variable. If these extraneous variables are not controlled, they become confounding variables and threaten the validity of the experiment. An important concept in research is operationalization, which involves defining abstract concepts in measurable terms. For example, the concept of stress may be operationalized as a score obtained on the Perceived Stress Scale, PSS 10. Clear operational definitions allow studies to be replicated and reduce ambiguity in measurement. Data collection methods. Once the research design has been selected, the researcher must choose appropriate methods for collecting data. The choice depends on the research objectives, type of data required, available resources, and the characteristics of the target population. Observation is one of the oldest methods of data collection and involves systematically watching and recording behavior. Observations may be structured or unstructured, participant or non-participant, and conducted in controlled or natural settings. Observation provides direct access to behavior but can be time-consuming and vulnerable to observer bias. Surveys are among the most widely used methods in social science research. They involve administering questionnaires containing structured questions to a sample of participants. Surveys are efficient, cost-effective, and capable of reaching large populations. However, they may produce superficial responses and often suffer from low response rates. Interviews involve direct interaction between the researcher and participants. Interviews may be structured, semi-structured, or unstructured. They provide rich, detailed information and allow researchers to ask follow-up questions. However, interviews can be expensive, time-consuming, and susceptible to interviewer bias. Experiments involve manipulating an independent variable under controlled conditions and measuring its effect on a dependent variable. Experiments are highly effective for establishing causality but may sometimes create artificial environments and raise ethical concerns. Document analysis involves examining existing records, reports, archival materials, official documents, newspapers, or digital content. This method is particularly useful in historical and policy research. However, researchers must evaluate the authenticity, completeness, and reliability of documents before using them as data sources. Sampling methods. In most research studies, it is impractical to collect data from every member of a population. Therefore, researchers select a sample that represents the larger population. This process is known as sampling. Probability sampling methods rely on random selection and allow researchers to generalize findings to the broader population. Simple random sampling gives every member an equal chance of selection. Systematic sampling selects every KTH member from a list. Stratified random sampling divides the population into subgroups or strata and then randomly selects participants from each group. Cluster sampling involves randomly selecting entire groups or clusters and studying all individuals within those clusters. Non-probability sampling methods do not involve random selection and are often used when probability sampling is impractical. Convenience sampling selects participants who are easily accessible. Purposive sampling involves selecting individuals who possess specific characteristics relevant to the study. Snowball sampling relies on participants recruiting additional participants, making it useful for hard-to-reach populations. Quota sampling ensures that specific categories are represented but does not use random selection. The size of the sample is also important. Larger samples generally provide more accurate estimates and reduce sampling error, but they require more time, effort, and financial resources. Data processing and analysis strategies. After data collection, researchers must prepare the data for analysis through a process known as data processing. Data processing transforms raw information into a structured format suitable for analysis. The first step is editing, where researchers check data for errors, omissions, and inconsistencies. The second step is coding, which involves assigning numerical or categorical codes to responses. Data entry follows, during which information is entered into computer software. Data cleaning is then performed to identify missing values, outliers, and inaccuracies. Researchers may also transform data by creating composite scores or new variables. Finally, data must be securely stored and archived for future reference. Once processing is complete, researchers conduct data analysis. Quantitative analysis includes descriptive statistics such as means, medians, standard deviations, frequencies, and percentages, as well as inferential statistics such as t-tests, ANOVA, chi-square tests, correlations, and regression analyses. Software packages commonly used for quantitative analysis include SPSS, R, Excel, and JASP. Qualitative analysis focuses on identifying meanings, themes, and patterns within textual or visual data. Common approaches include thematic analysis, content analysis, narrative analysis, and grounded theory. Popular qualitative analysis software includes NVivo, AtlasD, and Dedus. The choice of analytical strategy depends on the research questions, design, and nature of the data collected. Case study illustration. Consider a researcher investigating employee productivity in remote work environments. The researcher adopted an explanatory sequential mixed methods design. During the first phase, focus group discussions were conducted with 20 employees to explore issues such as flexibility, isolation, and work-life balance. These exploratory findings helped identify key themes. In the second phase, a cross-sectional survey was administered to 350 employees to measure the prevalence and impact of these themes. Stratified random sampling ensured representation across different job levels. Data collection included a standardized productivity scale and open-ended survey questions. Quantitative data were analyzed using SPSS, while qualitative responses were examined using NVivo. The combined findings provided both statistical evidence and contextual understanding, leading to practical recommendations for organizations implementing remote work policies. Conclusion. This unit represents the operational foundation of the research process because it transforms research plans into action. A carefully selected research design ensures that the study addresses the research problem effectively and systematically. Exploratory research helps generate ideas and hypotheses, descriptive research provides detailed information about phenomena, and experimental research establishes causal relationships. Understanding variables, especially independent and dependent variables, is crucial for conducting rigorous studies. Data collection methods must be chosen carefully to match the objectives of the research, while appropriate sampling techniques ensure representativeness and generalizability. Finally, proper data processing and analysis allow researchers to convert raw data into meaningful evidence. By mastering the concepts presented in this unit, researchers can conduct studies that are scientifically rigorous, ethically sound, and capable of producing reliable and valuable knowledge.